I was not even 10 years old when, every Saturday afternoon, I went to the Camino Fathers, the two priest brothers who ran the ancient and dilapidated church of the Misericordia in the neighborhood where I was born, and which was a stone's throw from my house. There, along with other children, I spent 2 or 3 hours playing and studying, learning catechism lessons so that I could then serve Mass as an altar boy. Father Michelino and Father Francesco, two beings so different from each other, both in physique and in character. Tall and thin, Father Michelino was a pious prelate who exuded goodness, especially from his eyes perpetually out of their sockets, on which his eyelids drooped like half moons. Father Michelino spoke little. A slight stutter prevented him from expressing himself in an articulate way, especially when, in catechism lessons, he became worried about the little attention that some of us paid to his teaching. With the exception of a few sporadic outbursts, which had the momentary effect of making him look gruff, a more pious priest figure than Father Michelino could not have been found. His brother, Father Francis, was something else entirely. Smaller in stature and always red in the face, he was fiery and combative and did not admit idiocies, not even those naively committed by us kids. After the catechism lessons that led to the day of confirmation, some of us continued to go to the Camino Fathers. After confirmation, the second phase, learning to serve the Mass. We looked forward to the moment when we would put on the black robe and white surplice with lace at the edges, and in order to have the pleasure of doing so, we were willing to learn, as we did, the whole Mass in Latin. When we were all well trained, Father Michelino fixed shifts, one altar boy at a time for Sunday Mass, and for about 8 consecutive weeks. We excitedly brought home the news that we would finally be serving Mass. A few days before my debut, I had begged an aunt of mine, who was not in the habit of leaving the house, to come and attend Mass, so she could admire me dressed as an altar boy. For that first big performance of mine, I wanted at least one of my relatives to be there. Not so much to satisfy my eye, but to draw encouragement and comfort. My aunt, after much hesitation, said she would be there. So, on Sunday morning at Mass, wearing liturgical vestments, Father Michelino and I walked towards the altar. For me, that entrance was like stepping onto the stage for the first act of a play. The robe I was wearing, too wide and long for my slender stature of a boy, I had rolled up and gathered at my waist, fastening it with a cord like a belt. Everything was going beautifully well. When the time came to transfer the missal from the priest's left to the right, I ascended the 2 steps of the altar. I stumbled and, with a spectacular dive, I ended up on the ground on my stomach, still holding the missal in my arms. As if that were not enough, I landed right in front of my aunt's horrified gaze, while the crowd of worshippers burst into a sudden murmur of consternation, and at the same time suppressed laughter. At that same moment, Father Michelino, arms outstretched, palms of hands outstretched, turned to look, then, turning to the tabernacle, shrugged his shoulders, and with a long sigh, uttered in a faint voice a "Let's Ray," completely unplanned.